Welcome back to another episode of the Canon on the Boomer Bust channel. I'm your host Terry, and today, doing my initial reaction to Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker, Rise of the Sky. Right? What is it? Anyway, yes. So the final, as they say in the Star Wars saga about the Skywalkers, episode 9, wrapping up this new trilogy, and so yeah. So this is gonna be non-spoiler. This is going to be my first reaction, my initial, I guess I'll just say my initial grade, even though I really don't do my real grade, until I at least watch it twice. That's my new rule for these types of movies. So, I have to say, I'm disappointed. That's the one word I can think of when I think about this movie, is disappointed. And honestly, it feels a lot like Endgame to me, and not in a good way, where a lot of people enjoy that movie. I think as we get further away, I think people realize that it wasn't as great as they might have tried to act like it was. But I don't know. It's each to each their own. But for me, Endgame just fell under the weight of what they built up throughout the MCU, but mainly in Infinity War. Like, with such great stakes and such a great villain, it was like, how can they stick the landing, without, how could you creatively stick the landing of what you set yourself up in? And I don't think they did a good job. And it's the same thing here. I think you're saying we're culminating the entire Star Wars saga up until this point. You're culminating this trilogy with a lot of questions, and I just feel like they did not stick the landing well. And you can feel how you want about the movie. I'm not going to grade the movie based on how it succeeded in wrapping it up, because that's not what we grade movies on. But them trying to wrap it up affected the way they did the movie. So I feel like a lot of things was rushed. The new characters that they were introducing, some of the storylines they were trying to touch on, some of the fan service they were trying to do, like it just all felt shoehorned. And some of the storylines that they really have taken time to, give time to throughout this trilogy, I just feel like the way they resolved it didn't make a lot of sense. And maybe it could have made more sense if you had more time to explain it, but for the sake of this movie, it just happens a lot of the times, and you're just like, okay, so we're just supposed to accept that and keep moving. And it was frustrating. And so I definitely gave it the benefit of the doubt when I first watched The Force Awakens. And it's like, okay, that was a retread, but some interesting things. We got 2 more movies. We got a lot to learn. Let's see what we got. Then The Last Jedi, I was just like, oh my God, like, no, this is terrible. And then I was like, we got 1 more movie though. And then JJ came back and was like, okay, so how are they going to do it in this 1 movie? And honestly, I wouldn't say it needs to be 3.5 hours or anything. I think it should have been 2 movies. I honestly think it could have been 2 2-hour movies. And I know people kind of got touchy when you saw Harry Potter split into 2 and Hunger Games and some other people do it. But I think this is the one where it really needed to be split into 2. Like, Endgame didn't need to be split into 2. Endgame didn't need to be that long. The thing with Endgame is just they painted themselves in a corner with the story they wrote. With this, there's a lot of screen time that you need to serve to different plot points. And I really think the character arc of people got rushed because they had to fit in 1 movie. And I really think this would have been a situation where 2 movies would have served this finale better. And so I know it's unconventional for Star Wars, but that's what I would have did, because it just felt so, it just felt so convenient to wrap things up the way it did. And you really never felt like there was on camera any reason to expect what happens. And when it happens, it's just like, what? You didn't really, build that up. You didn't really show us anything for that payoff. The payoff just happens. And so it was just unsatisfying to me. But I definitely thought it was the funniest Star Wars out of any of the movies. I don't know if that's good or bad for some people, but definitely great chemistry with Poe, Ray, and Finn. You know, having them together. This was definitely more of a team movie, unlike Last Jedi, where they really split up. And so seeing the dynamics together as a team brought definitely a different energy, different fun than we had in The Last Jedi. But, you know, that didn't really save it, unfortunately. So it just, oh man. And yeah, I don't, I don't want to get into it too much because I don't want to drift into spoilers. But it's tough to like really react the way I want to without getting into spoilers. But yeah, like I just said, I really think overall that's what it is. It was just not it wasn't super creative, but I think what they were going for would have worked if they had more time to let it breathe and execute. Since they were in this time crunch, I just feel like the movie was rushed. That's the biggest thing I could say about it. It was rushed. So overall, for me, in terms of a grade right now, I would probably give it something like a C plus. And so I'll be most likely watching it again this weekend, and then I'll do my spoiler review and give it my real grade. But that's where I'm at with it. You know, it's unfortunate to say, but that's what it is. So anyway, go to comment section. Let me know what you're expecting from Rise of Skywalker if you haven't seen it yet. If you already have seen it, please no spoilers in the comments. And yeah, remember, if you heard it, it's official canon.